and in particular women business owners, and working with them on their money stuff, is it stems from having a corporate job and then having children and then deciding that, like many of us, that actually balancing the two was going to be a compromise, and it was a compromise that I was unwilling to make. And I'd always been really interested in NLP and life coaching, and I had you have those situations in life where you're at a crossroads, and it was like now or never, and it was like, I'm going to do it now, actually. So I started in, I think about 2009, and I first of all set up as a life coach, working with women, looking at their self-esteem, their confidence, which was really interesting, and we'll talk about this in a little while, because women found it very difficult to invest in themselves.
Yes,
so really
I found that as well.
Yeah, really happy to spend money on the kids' swimming lessons or football lessons, but on their self, even if it had a direct positive impact on the whole family, it was an interesting starting point as a business.
Yeah, absolutely. I found that, and I found that, even I do it. So with Archie, I have no problem buying designer clothes for him, but when it comes to me, I have to wait for the sale. So, and it's that kind of logic, isn't it, that we start to carry forward in our business and our personal development as well.
Yeah, and it's something that I saw time and time again, and I carried on working with this group of people because they're absolutely awesome. But your business evolves. It doesn't just stay as the thing that you start out with. And more I'm starting to be pulled towards working with business owners, female business owners. And I resisted because I'd established a business, and it really felt like I was starting afresh. But the pull became, so that I actually thought, okay, I'm going to do it. So in 2014, I introduced the Business Grower, and it was very much looking at supporting kind of new women into business. And I wanted them to be supported and not face the mistakes that I've made.
Yeah.
And that was brilliant. That was really good. But one of the kind of pieces of work that we always did is that we always talked about money. And then it just happened that in 2015, in January, I ran a 15-day money challenge. And it was never really the intention to just identify it as a money challenge. But the power of it was phenomenal, and the shifts that women were having just in that 14 days, and having an opportunity for many of them to have a safe place for them to come into and say, my money story is really poor, my money habits, my relationship with money is really poor. And obviously when we're running a business, we have to be really comfortable with money. We've got to be comfortable for planning for it, for promoting for it, for asking for it. However, I discovered that more and more women were struggling in their business because they were stuck about money. And it really in the last kind of 13, 14 months, it really has been the Business Grower that is supporting women in 3 areas, which is kind of money, which is absolutely crucial, mindset, because, if you've got money stuff going on and you're not valuing yourself sufficiently, that feeds into the mindset that you create. And then obviously there's the marketing aspect as well. So it's those 3 M's that I support women with now in business.
Yeah, okay. So that we can understand a bit better, how does that play out? What are some of the examples or some of the stories that you hear from women, how that's playing out in their business for them?
Well, I mean, that's a brilliant question, actually, because on Monday I held a face-to-face event here in York, where I live. It's one of my monthly events, and we had a room full of women in that room. And they're all smart, intelligent, amazing women. And the session was about discovering what your money mindset was. And it was phenomenal. People were saying, oh, well, I don't value myself enough therefore I've struggled to put my price up.
Yes,
yeah, it's kind of like I can't put my prices up because I don't believe that people pay for that.
Yeah.
And then there were other people who they had no idea what money was coming in, what money they were spending. They hadn't ever been kind of taught the skills for managing money. So suddenly they're running a business and it's all becoming quite crazy, and it's, lots of expenditure but very little income coming in, and lots of fear about money. Will I have enough? How will I make more? I can't put those prices up because people will think X of me. So it plays out in so many different amazing ways, and you just think it's just money, which is obviously massive, but if you work on that, so much can move in a brilliant way.
So how do you recognise if something's not going right in your business, or if something keeps happening over and over again? How can you stop and recognise that might be to do with your money story?
There's a couple of things. The first thing is being really consciously aware of the messages that you're rerunning through your head. So if you discover that you lay in bed worrying about where the next paying client is coming from, it's really about stopping and exploring that. It's kind of like, where's that coming from? Have I got evidence that there isn't going to be any more clients? So where is, if the evidence is that actually you do attract clients into your business, where is that message coming from? And I always say that when you start to look at money, it's like an onion. You think it's like one thing, but then you peel it back, and it generally comes back to people's money stories. And it's the habits and beliefs that you have inherited from your childhood. It's unconsciously.
Yes.
So we have people who, that the parents are very frugal for lots of different reasons, but very frugal. So then, you become a business owner, and then you come from a place of lack the whole time. There's a lack of science, there's a lack of time, there's a lack of energy, there's a lack. And so it's those sort of messages that you're hearing in yourself all the time. And it's also the messages that you're saying to other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting, actually. I listened to Dr. Joanna Martin did a talk about how managing money is so important. So it's not just about having all the money coming into the business or to the household or however you're working, but if you can't manage it, then you're not going to get any more back. So it's kind of like the cosmic ice cream van in the sky, and you go to it and ask for a single scoop, and you walk away and drop it on the floor, and you go back and ask for a double scoop, and the ice cream man says there's no way, because if you can't manage a single scoop, I'm not going to give you a double scoop. So until you can manage your money, do you find that that's often the case, that if you're not managing it and you're not aware of what's coming in and going out, that you kind of hit a block in your business as well? Do you find that plays out?
Yeah, you often find women saying, look, money is coming in, but it goes flying out the door as fast as it comes in. So people are working really, really hard. They're doing amazing things, and they're creating brilliant opportunities for their clients, and they're making a difference to their clients. But the money's coming in, but it doesn't stay in. It goes flying out the door. And that is, like we talked about that ice cream, where the universe is saying, you don't need this money. Yeah. It's time for it to go elsewhere. So there's some rules about money, like money loves attention.
Okay.
And it's also accepting that money is just energy, because there's a lot of issues around people's beliefs, again, that they've perhaps inherited about, that money is the root of all evil, only greedy people have money.
Yeah.
So sometimes that plays out where money can come in, does come in, but it goes out again as well. So money likes to know where it's going. And we've had this discussion actually in a group that I was running this week, where people are saying this very thing, that money is coming in, but it goes out the door. And it's kind of like, you need to tell money what you're going to do with it. And Napoleon Hill talks about this in his Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
But, it's very much about saying where you want money to be. So you can easily get, the kind of wheel of life type model and actually look at that and use those segments to identify if you have X money coming in, where do you want money to come in and what for? So you might have like household bills, you might have a holiday fund, it might be savings, it could be pension, it could be business development. So there's all sorts of different ways that you can show money where you want it to come and be as well.
Yeah, okay. That's really interesting, because one of the other things I've heard, and because I'm quite aware of this, I hear all these different things. Sometimes it's quite conflicting, or there's a lot of mixed messages. So I'm going to take advantage, if you don't mind, while you're here. One of the other things I've heard is that money should always be flowing. It's like a river. So it should be flowing rather than a pond, which just becomes stagnant and and stale and smelly and stuff. So how do you kind of make it flow, but without it just coming in and going straight back out?
It's going back to that kind of wheel of money. It's thinking that it doesn't have to be expenditure for that to flow. It could be that you have a proportion. I mean, Anne Wilson talks about this in her book, that regardless of how much you're making, you should always put a portion of your salary into your asset drawer. So it's that kind of thing. You look at something like a wheel of life, a circle of life, and think about where you want the money to go to. So you can say, well, actually, money, I will have X that goes here, 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 and here, and make sure it does. And then you're showing money and the energy that it's needed, and it's going to be looked after, and it's contained.
Okay, makes perfect sense. I love that. Okay, that's brilliant. So I'm just going to ask you a couple of things about your business journey and challenges, if any, that you faced whilst you were on your journey and growing your business. And if you'd like to share any challenges and solutions for us.
Let's think. So definitely changing niche was really challenging, because it was like starting over again. The women who I have been working with were generally working in a corporate role, and then all of a sudden I was no longer going to be working with those guys, and I was going to have to kind of find my feet in the marketplace at the time, like a marketing expert. So that was really challenging, but there was just that instinct deep within inside me that more and more people were coming to me and saying, well, I want you to show me how you've run your business. And it just seemed an instinctive pull to do that. So sometimes it is about trusting me. It's about listening to what's going on and then kind of leaping. And it's kind of what Julia Cameron says, isn't it? It's kind of believing that when you leap, a net will appear. And it does. Definitely.
It's the point where you need to have enough trust to surrender to what's going to happen. And that leap of faith is all important, isn't it?
And it's hard, it's hard to do that. But it's about having, before you do anything like that, it's about having a really clear idea about, as much as you can, about what it's going to be. So this goes for anybody who's running setting up a business, setting up another business, or looking to niche, as I did, is that, do the research and go and explore, not just from like a market research point of view, like, what do clients want, but go and research who you want to work with. I mean, I know that I love men, but I don't want men as my clients. And that's quite powerful to know that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they're a different kettle of fish, aren't they? Especially, I imagine, when you're dealing with money mindset and money stories, it must be hugely different to working with men than it is with women.
It is really different, because men have been empowered a lot more, for longer through the generations to take control of money and be responsible for money. That's very, very traditionally the role, especially here in the UK. It's very much the tradition that is the men of the household who dealt with the money. And on Monday night, when I was talking to this group of ladies, it was like phenomenal stories that they came out with about, my dad looked after the money and then he died, and then, nobody looked after money. So, you know, men really do have generally a good sense. But I think, you know, instinct is such a powerful thing for women, and I think women can really tune into that very well. And it's trusting. It's trusting that it might not be perfect at the beginning, but you go and research who you want to work with. You go and research what they are looking for, and then you start to create products and services that fill you up. Because I've done that before when I've delivered stuff and thought, oh, I don't like it. So it's kind of finding the things that fill you up, but equally, really, that your clients want and value as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's really important, because you can quickly fall into a business or create a business that you're not actually that passionate about anymore, because it was easier to take the money, because you're almost fearful that you're not going to get the money elsewhere, or you're not going to be able to get it from the things that you're really passionate about. So making sure that you're passionate, when you've got to motivate yourself every day to do it, what kind of creation are you making if you're not passionate about what you're doing? I think, that's a really important point.
And I'm going to ask, they can feel that kind of like resistance within you to do that.
So how do you overcome that then? How do you overcome that resistance?
Stop doing it.
It's simple.
It's simple. It's you know, it's kind of being vulnerable in a way. It's kind of like going and trying things and then accepting that they don't fit for you. And that's fine. And it's about learning those lessons and then letting go of that past experience. And knowing that you can learn from these things. It's all part of your journey. And I think women struggle with trying to do everything perfect right from the word go. But what is perfect, and which women in this world have ever been able to create something that's perfect from scratch, first time around, and make it brilliant?
Yeah, definitely. It's the old adage, isn't it, that if you look at your work 3 years ago and you realise it was perfect then you started too late, because you've got to go through this journey and you've got to look back and go, oh no, really? What was I thinking? You kind of have to do that. And that's part of the journey. It's part of the learning, and we're all doing that. And we're never, I don't think, ever finished that journey of learning and development. So it's about embracing it.
Yeah, I mean, Brené Brown talks about this in her book, Rising Strong, and there's so many brilliant kind of points in there about facing things, facing your shame. And she says that the person who is face down in a crowded space, which talks about arena, you know, you've fallen flat on your face in an arena full of people who are watching you. It's the people who pick themselves up and learn from that, who rise strong, and they go on and they just go on from that point to this point of like brilliance, and you know, they do amazing things because they were so low that they knew that they couldn't get any lower and feel any more shame, but they can rise up and be magnificent. And that's how it is for women. I think women have so much struggle with lots of things in life, but women with money, I think, they're very shameful about money, about maybe wanting money, or how they spend money, or how they cover somebody else's money. It's that there is a lot of shame about money, and it's time for us to embrace money and the choices that it brings to us, and ensure that we are not stuck in our money stories, that we unleash and learn from our money stories, but we rise strong from it, so that we live like a really fulfilling life. But equally, the next generation of women learn that they learn how to manage money, and they learn from our mistakes, and they're not the next generation gritting the teeth and going, why was I never shared this stuff about money?
Yes. And that's powerful, and that's our responsibility almost, because we're conscious about this. It's our responsibility to make sure our children and the next generation don't have the same kind of challenges around money that we've had created because of the way that generations have developed, really. And that's really important. And love Brené Brown, by the way. So thank you for reminding me of that. I was going to ask you what kind of, we've spoken about your message a little bit, but I'd really like you to just say in your own words what your message is and why it's so important for us to take that on board now more than ever, really.
So money doesn't have to keep us stuck in jobs that we hate, in relationships that make us feel incredibly sad. Money is a really powerful energy that as women we have so many skills and talents that we can take into the world and just be as brilliant as we want to be, and know that the money will come to us, and through that we can make brilliant choices. We can choose to help our families, we can choose to help our communities, and money just doesn't need to be a barrier. It's just like one of those things that we use every day, like we use our phone every day. It's just a tool, but it's a magnificent tool that women, it's time for us to be the generation who understand money, who take responsibility for money, and that if we want money, we go out and we can get money as well.
Yeah, I love that message. I love it. It's brilliant. Thank you for sharing it with us. Do you have any tips that you would like to impart before we talk about something exciting that you're working on at the moment? I just wondered if you had any tips or tricks that you'd like to share with us that we can take away today and really take action with.
Well, I think I've said that starting with your money story is the kind of key point. So anybody who's listening to it, or anybody who's listening back to the recording, if what Sherry and I have been talking about really is hitting, is resonating with you, is start with your money story. Look back to your first money experiences and the early messages that you received about money. Write them down and really get quite curious about what the experiences were, what the messages were, and then look at what is happening in your life and how your money story is impacting on your life, on your business. And it could well be, because this happens, is that your money story is amazing. So if this is resonating with you, I would say start with your money story, start exploring it, and just seeing how that is playing out for you right now.
Yeah, brilliant. So we'll all be doing that tonight. Looking at our money stories.
Going, I understand now.
Yeah, and share with us your eureka moments as well. If you feel comfortable doing that, and just, even if you just shout eureka, I've got it. I'd love to see that. So thank you so much, Rachel, for all of your advice and your inspirations and sharing your journey with us. How can people find out more about you and particularly about the exciting challenge that you're working on at the moment?
So thanks for that, Sherry. So I am the business grower, and you can find out details about who I am and how I support female business owners over my website, which is www.thebusinessgrower.com. And if you're on Blab and you love this sort of live streaming, you can also find me over on Periscope, which is Rachel Smith 29, and that's RACHEL Smith. I think some people think it's not Smith, but it is. It's Smith. And this week, we're slap bang in the middle of a 5-day Make More Money challenge for female business owners who are ready to give up the struggle, that they understand that they want to work on their money, relationships, habits, blocks and beliefs. And they're curious to look at how money, mindset and marketing coupled in that way can really help you grow your business. And over on the website that I shared, there is a button on the right-hand side. It's the middle button down on a little green button that says 5-Day Money Challenge. Details in there. We are in the middle of it, but there is still time for you to come and join us. We are having a great time, kind of exploring our money stories, looking at like the essential tools that will help you grow your business. So if you fancy coming and joining us, come and join us this week. I'd love to have you over there.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Rachel. And I cannot recommend highly enough that you go and join the Money Challenge and find out more about what Rachel's working on, because it's all really exciting stuff. And very often these are the things that we don't think about in our business. And these are the things that are potentially really holding us back in business and in life as well. So really powerful stuff that Rachel's doing at the moment. Thank you so much, Rachel, for coming and sharing your message again. And I look forward to doing another Wonder Woman Wednesday next Wednesday.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you all. Thank you, Rachel. Take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.